And now we move on to the jets, which have, I think, had the most debate when it comes to these things, and doesn't really surprise me because a lot of them are kind of all over the place, and I think is definitely signs of a larger issue at this moment in time. The starters of the Yak 15, it's going from 6.7 to 7.0. Same with the Yak 17, they're both going up. It's not too much of a surprise here. They're very good against propeller aircraft and pretty good against jets. They're limited by their armaments, but at the same time, they are fantastic aircraft. And, the limit on armaments only gets you so far when it comes to certain tiers. The ME-262A2A, the Sternvogel, is finally going up. This is actually the ME-262, which has 2 less guns than the others. In every other way, it's exactly the same. It even gets access to some extra secondary loadouts. I never really understood why it wasn't 7.0. It was an absolute stomper at 6.7. It was an event vehicle back in the day, so a lot of people may have forgotten about it, but it's an insane vehicle for 6.7, so 7.0 makes more sense to it. The Key 84 Hay is going up from 6.3 to 6.7. This is thrown in here because these BR changes are all over the place, and not too much of a surprise there. I'd probably keep it at 6.3 though. Don't think the engine performance is good enough against jets. The F-89D is going from 7.7 to 7.3. I think I'm kind of outspoken in the F-89D. I don't actually think it's that good. The F-89D is one of those planes which is great at catching people out if they don't know what they're fighting, but the moment that they know what they're fighting, it's a really, really easy machine to counter. If you know where it is, generally all you have to do is turn a little bit quicker compared to what you would normally turn at, So instead of turning at 1 kilometers, you turn at 1.5, or instead of 1.5, you turn at 2. You got to watch out for the head-on as well. But once you figure these things out, it's stupidly easy to play around the F-89D. So I'm not surprised to see it go down. The F-89B, however, that's more surprising to me. I thought that machine had generally good flight characteristics. Maybe it's getting beaten up too much by 8.3s, just like all of that BR bracket is, because the MiG-15 bis and the Sabres should not be 8.3, but you know how it is. Those are the real annihilators of this BR bracket. The Horton 229 V3 has gone from 7.3 to 7.0. The Horton one is always weird to me. They change it so much. It's very hard to keep an eye on it and see how well it's doing. I always think it's pretty good. I've had a fantastic time generally playing it in the past, so I don't know, it seems odd to me. The J28B is going from 7.7 to 8.0. Not a surprise here. The vampires are really good, and the general trend, as we saw from a lot of the propeller aircraft, is dogfighters are meta, and the vampires are some of the best dogfighters that they have at this BR, so not a surprise, The J28 is also slightly better than the standard vampire, mainly when it comes to the guns. Kind of surprised to not see the Italian vampire go up as well, actually. The TU4 and also the Chinese TU4 are going from 8.0 to 8.3. This is because they're crazy survivable, and if you don't believe me, you can literally go see them in the event right now. A lot of people will be flying them, they will turn at the start of the game, they will go to space, and then they will bomb stuff. That's how you play the TU4, that's why the repair cost is so high, that's why, they are generally seen as very good aircraft, and also why I will never play them. The F2H2 is going from 8.0 to 7.7. This is really nice for the vehicle, actually, because it gives it a new lease of life. It isn't an 8.0, and getting crushed. Once again, the problem with 8.0 is it literally gets crushed by 8.3. And anything to get some of those fun vehicles away from that area, at least a little bit, is really nice to see. Then we have a bunch of bomber changes. So the Tu-14T, the IL-28, the H-5, and the IL-28 for Germany, they're all going from 8.0 to 8.3. One of the things that has to be noted about these machines is the fact that With the changes to airfields, these machines became a hell of a lot more survivable and actually way more useful. Because generally what you would do in these machines is you would bomb, go back to base, and then you get strafed by somebody who is staring at your airfield. Now they can't do that. So you actually have the ability to be able to take off again and do a second round if you want to, or, assess the situation and go from there. So not too much of a surprise from that front. That these are going up. Probably not because their abilities have increased, but because of the map design changes that have happened over the last little bit. The Yak 23 is going from 8.3 to 8.7. The Key 200 is going from 8.3 to 8.7. So once again, dogfighters or turn fighters are increasing, showing what the meta is like when it comes to aerialistic. The Sagittario is going from 8.7 to 9.0. Once again, I can't emphasize enough when it comes to these vehicles. If the meta is everybody goes to the center of the map, creates a furball, the machines that benefit from this are machines which are really good turn fighters and also pretty good dogfighters. Those three are examples right there. The Yak 23 is super easy to play around. The Key 200 is even easier to play around, and the Sagittario is a little bit harder to play around, but not impossible. So you have three examples here of machines that are doing insanely well because of the fact that they're dogfighters in a dogfighting meta. The B-57A, Canberra B Mark II, B-57B, all are going up in BR. As I said, I think this is down to the thing that I talked about before with the airfields. If it's down to something else, fair enough, but that is the major change that has aided them recently. The F-84Fs, all of them are going down to 8.0. Good. I've always talked about the fact that the F-84Fs, they were added and they were put at the same BR as superior vehicles. So why would you ever play them? Why would you bother at all? There would be absolutely no point. So now that they're low BR, at least there's a reason to play them. And maybe to play them as a CAS element too for that 8.0 lineup that many nations have now because their NBTs got moved down to 8.0. So that's really good to see. Now hopefully the F9, F2 and other machines at 8.3 also get moved down to try and help them. The Buccaneer S1 is going from 8.7 to 9.0. Not a surprise. Gets to the base, kills it, goes back to the airfield, survives, goes again. CL-13 Mark IV, going from 8.7 to 9.0. This makes no sense. It shouldn't go up in BR. It should stay at 8.3, or it should stay at 8.7. Sorry, it is no better than the standard 8.3 Sabres. Even if its statistics are really good, it's much better, in my opinion, to keep it at a lower BR, because of the fact that I would rather this be at a low BR with an insane repair cost, and that's just because of the fact that I don't want to hear about it again used as an argument for player skill gap, because there are much better arguments to talk about, but unfortunately we're stuck on that one, and it's infuriating. The G91R3 is going from 8.7 to 8.3. This is one of the largest bonehead decisions I think I've seen in a long time when it comes to BR changes. The G91R3 struggles in aerialistic. There are better vehicles than it at 8.7. But in ground, it is an insane vehicle. And not just in the right hands, in many people's hands. Nords are some of the most annoying missiles or annoying weaponry things to face in the game. We should not put this vehicle down because that will become even worse, especially around 9.0 and 9.3 where Germany has insane lineups. The Radkampfwagen plus this make a ridiculously annoying combo. Cap a point, get in a G91, kill 4 tanks. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. And yes, I know, you change the ballistic properties of AGMs. Yes, I know, they're not as good as they used to be. They're still bloody good. Don't move this damn machine. Please. For the sake of everybody's sanity, do not make AGMs stronger than they already are. They are some of the best CAS in the game. They do not need help. Stop it. The J29F, with its afterburner, is going from 8.7 to 9.0. Surprising to see this. Also, the A32A is going from 9.0 to 9.3. I'm seeing a lot of them in games, but I'm not really seeing them take over games at all, while I've been playing around 9.0. So, kind of interesting to see that one. The A32A one is more of a surprise, personally, but I'm guessing it's doing pretty well. The Yak 30 is going from 8.3 to 8.7 because there is no God, and just to prove that there is no God, the A4E early is going from 8.7 to 8.3. The Yak 30 is a really fun machine, okay? I spaded it when it was an end-of-the-line vehicle. Right? Fantastic machine. It's not better than a Sabre. It's not better than a MiG-15 bis. Put it at 8.3. Leave it there. I don't care if the statistics say it is doing better. It is not a better machine. Okay? If you want to make that change, push up the MiG-15 bises, push up the Sabres. Okay? If you want to do that. The A4E early, going down to 8.3, is a literal slap in the face. I recently spaded that machine. I did it during a fireside chat. All I did was bomb bases, and then when people jumped on me, I shot them with my guns. I did really well in the machine. That's all I did with it. And now I have a machine that's fully spaded, which I made a sell on, and I can use it in ground forces. And it has access to 5 bullpups. It's a terror. The only thing the A4E doesn't do very well in ground forces is it doesn't pull up the best. But people have worked around that and have got better with using the bullpups. If you decide to put the A4E to 8.3, I will probably, actually I am 90% sure I will not play that BR bracket for ground again. When it comes to that and the G91 going down, I don't want to touch that BR already because of the AGMs. They are incredibly painful to face. There is hardly any counterplay to them when you're in a tank. You don't know they're coming. Because of the sound changes, you can't hear anything since the last update, and now you're pushing them down. Ridiculous. And you know the icing on the top? The A4B, which is in the tech tree, which is an inferior version of the A4E. No countermeasures on that one. Worse engine. It stays at 8.7. What are you doing? Honestly. This is the first time I've looked at a set of BR changes and gone, what are you doing? Okay? Before this, there's many rational arguments that can be used for many of these. For these lot? No. There just isn't. I hope a lot of these get changed. I really do. Otherwise, they're going to make certain ground forces areas unplayable, and they're going to make certain air things unplayable, right? The MiG-21 F-13 and the MiG-21 PFM. Going from 9.3 to 9.0. Now, once again, I think I'm pretty outspoken on these things. I'm fine with the F-13 going down. It's got really bad armament. Just like the Q5 does. The flight performance is great, but it doesn't matter if you can't kill anything. Right? And yes, I understand. A really good player can do really well in this. They can maybe get 2 or 3 kills, or maybe even 4. The vast majority of people aren't good players, and we're in a dogfighting meta. So the missiles that it has are even worse. So I'm not surprised to see it go down. But can we stop tying it at the hip to the PFM? The PFM, with its guns, is much better than the F-13. I don't know about the statistics, okay, but I'll be very surprised if those have the same. Maybe they do, maybe they don't. But at least at the moment in time, it makes little sense for those to be at the same BR. I know they have the same flight performance, but we can all agree the MiG-21F's flight performance far exceeds its BR. The issue is its weaponry. So why is the PFM getting dragged down as well? Keep the PFM at 9.3 and move down the F and see what happens. The Buccaneer S2 is going up in BR, 9.3 to 9.7, not a surprise. Same reasoning as all the other bombers that I just talked about. The AK-38 is going from 9.3 to 9.0. So, this is an interesting one. I've been playing a lot of 9.0, 9.3, 9.7, 8.7 recently, because that BR bracket is one of the most volatile. Right, the AK-38M is also going from 9.7 to 9.3. And what I can tell you from playing it, mainly the last few weeks, the BR of 9.0 doesn't exist. And what I mean by this is you get dragged up every single time. The ideal BR situation is one where you get up-tiered as much as you get down-tiered, okay? And this means that you will have games where you're going to face tougher competition and games where you're going to face not as tough competition. And then you can work between those lines. The problem with 9.0, which I think they're trying to fix with all of these changes, is they're trying to make it an actual BR. I was playing the J4 today, as an example. In 3 hours of playing, I had two games which were at my BR. The rest, 9.7 to 8.7, or 10.0 to 9.0. The J4 is a 9.0 aircraft. And it's a worse version of a premium one that they put in a while ago. It was hell. Because there are so many stupidly strong 9.7s right now, and also 10.0s. So with these moving down, like the AK-38 moving down to 9.0 and the MiG-21s moving down to 9.0, I think they're trying to make it a BR bracket. But it's not going to work. And also, the AK-38's are weird ones. So the AK-38's flight performance is absolute trash. It's a literal tin can in the sky. It doesn't like moving around. But it has R60s. And R60s are really strong. So, at the start of a game, if you're not paying attention, you'll just die. Because the thing gets an air spawn. But, if you're paying attention, it can't kill you. It's really, really easy to stop a Yak-38 killing you. Okay? Like, you just point yourself towards it, or in its general direction, or you keep straight below it, and then all you do is you just wait for it to dive on you, flick position, and then move around, because you're pretty maneuverable. I've seen a lot of Yak-38s, and I've killed a lot of Yak-38s in stuff such as 9.0s. So I'm not really afraid of them. I'm just more bothered about the fact that you're going to see a bunch of them in the air, and they're going to missile people who are not expecting it, which is going to be the main problem. The F-100D is going from 9.7 to 9.3. I've just recently started playing it, so I don't have thoughts on it, really. Is the F-100A going to get moved down? Or have we just forgotten that one exists? Oh, the French F-100D. There's a French F-100D? I thought it was a F-100A. Well, whatever it is, that's going down to 9.32. I don't have too much of an opinion on it. The MiG-19S is going from 9.7 to 9.3. I always thought that was a combatant that was always hard to face in when it was down-tiered. It's very maneuverable, and it definitely struggles to get its guns on target, but the flight performance is insanely good. The MiG-19 PT is getting moved down to 9.7, from 9.7 to 9.3. And the Lightning F6 is moving down from 9.7 to 9.3. Jesus, okay. You know what I don't see on this list? Oh no, there's the Chinese F-100A. They just haven't put them together, because why would you? It's going from 9.7 to 9.3, so it's following the trend of the F-100s. Where are my MiG-17s? Or my J4s? Why do you have to keep slapping them in the face? I spaded both of them, right? I spaded the MiG-17 and the J4 recently. They're both 9.0 vehicles. Like, putting all these vehicles down doesn't make a difference. They already fight all of these. The only thing you're trying to make it is that they don't face 10.0s. because they'll face all of this stuff again anyway. But if you're moving all this stuff down, how are you not moving down the J4 and the MiG-17? They're outclassed by everything that's there. Literally everything. You're just a slightly okay turn fighter at that point. It's sad. The Vautour's going up from 9.0 to 9.3. And so, well, all the Vautours are going from 9.0 to 9.3, probably once again because of the stuff we talked about with the other bombers. The F-104G for Italy is going from 10.0 to 10.3 because it got new missiles and also countermeasures. That thing's really good right now. Surprising to see the Yak-28 is going from 9.3 to 9.7. I suppose it follows the trends of the bombers, so not too much of a surprise. The F-104S is going from 10.3 to 10.7. Once again, got a big buff recently, so not a surprise. And then the Su-17M2 is going from 10.7 to 11.0. I mean, that's kind of a surprise. I know it has really good armament, but it's also a huge target. So maybe the Airborne must be giving it a really, really good kick to get stuff done. Otherwise, I don't understand it. And the F-4C Phantom is going from 10.3 to 10.0, basically meaning that all of the changes you've done by moving down all the 9.7s to 9.3 and all the 9.3s to 9.0 to try and create a bracket there, you've just murdered. Because you've just put a really powerful vehicle at 10.0 that everyone's going to flock to. Thanks. When we look at these jet changes, okay. As a person who has been playing predominantly from 8.3 to 9.7 the last few months, these are changes which will make the problems that we see at these tiers even worse. Because what it is doing is instead of moving the vehicles that need to be moved up, the meta vehicles, it is moving everything else down. There are a few meta vehicles around here. The Harriers, that you see quite a lot. They're normally swimming about the place, generally being played. Stuff like the Simi, the Swift, they're pretty good. They're staying. Stuff that you also see around these BRs, obviously the MiG-19s, but they're getting moved. The MiG-21 SMT you sometimes see just flying around the place, which is always worrying. But the fact is, you're trying to get all of these vehicles away from stuff like the J-35A, like the Misters, like the Mirages, like the Drakens. And it's not going to work. You're just going to crucify the BR below it. Hopefully this means that in the next set of updates, we get an 11.3 and it can solve this issue, but I don't think it will. So 8.0 to 9.7 is going to be hell. I mean, it already is hell. It's really rough if you're not playing a meta vehicle, and has been since they introduced the premiums all the way back to stuff like the F-35. Which is why I've had quite a lot of times just full teams of premiums. But I didn't think it would get this rough. At least the F-84F went down, silver linings. But my god, if they put the A4E down in the G91, I'm done with that BR bracket. I'm finished with it. I don't know what else to say. That will be so annoying to face. Because that means that you can be in a 7.3 in ground and you don't have a radar guided AA. You can be at 7.7 and you don't have a radar guided AA. And you can't do anything about it. And you just get screwed. Really fun. A really cool mechanic, those AGMs. Stupidly fun. Especially with no counter. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and I'll see you next time. I'd just like to thank Professor X 1718, Orange Tail, Sakoshi Tiger, BRFC 15, Teddy, John Ryman, Universe A, Eugens Terry, Ambrosius McClellan, Daniel Stanton, Martinez, B. Young,
and then Kyle Kin, Bareen, Lafouche, and also Samuel Slick for supporting the channel.